This is now my second video debate with Rusda2, and in this video I will be dealing with his video, the Sabbath before Mount Sinai. And now what he's trying to do is to connect the Sabbath day in Exodus 20 verse 8 back to Adam and Eve in creation, the same way they try to connect the law back to Adam and Eve. When we know that the law and the Sabbath, according to Exodus 28, did not begin until Sinai, but because of their Sabbatarian views, they have to try to connect this all back to Adam and Eve again, something that never existed back there. And let me show you why it didn't exist now. In the verses he used, Genesis 2, 2 through 3, and Exodus 20, verse 8. If you notice in Genesis 2, 2 through 3, the word rest there is Shabbath, S-H-A-W-B-A-T-H. And it is the Hebrew word or number H7673. When you go to Exodus chapter 20 verse 8, you'll find the word for Sabbath there is Shabbath, S-H-A-B-B-A-T-H, and it is the Hebrew number 7676. So right away the Bible has already told us that there's a difference between the two and that the two cannot be the same. Now that alone would end the debate for anyone who knows Hebrew. It shows there is no comparison between the two. In fact, the word Shabbath, S-H-A-W-B-A-T-H, in Genesis is a primitive root word, which means that no other word can carry the same meaning, or that wherever the word Shabbath appears, it has to carry the same meaning. Now then, the Sabbath in Exodus 20 verse 8 is an intensive form of the word Shabbath, meaning that it comes from the word Shabbath. But Shabbath doesn't come from H7676. So there's a big distinction being made there in the Hebrew language itself, showing that the two are not the same. And he talked about the Sabbath being given before Sinai, but apparently he has overlooked Nehemiah 9:13 through 14. And in these verses, God is not reminding the people of the Sabbath. He's making it known to them. Okay, I want you to listen to these verses now. Nehemiah 9:13 through 14. God is not reminding them of the Sabbath. He's making it known to them for the first time. And when you go over to those verses and read those verses, they say this: and on Mount Sinai, this is Nehemiah 9:13 through 14. And on Mount Sinai thou hast come down even to speak with them from the heavens, and thou did give to them right judgments, true laws, and good statutes and commands. Now listen to verse 14 real carefully. And thy holy Sabbath thou hast made known to them. See there, he's not reminding them of the Sabbath, he's making it known to them for the first time. Now Rusda2 could have saved himself a lot of trouble and heartaches and ignorance if he'd have just gone to that verse and seen that it is being made known to them for the first time at Mount Sinai. And I've already pointed out the difference between the two words in Genesis and in Exodus. Remember now, the word Shabbath in Genesis means to cease. And when you go to Exodus chapter 20 verse 8, not only does it mean to cease, but it also means to start doing something as well. There's not a total cessation like there was in Exodus in Genesis when God stopped his creative acts. Here they are to cease something, but they are also to start doing something as well. So they didn't totally stop motionless and stand there for 24 hours. They started doing something for the first time, and that was observing the ceremonial Sabbath and keeping it holy to God, because it was a sign of the covenant to them when God brought them out of the land of Egypt, which the Bible is clear about. Anyone knows that it was a sign of the covenant. God made this covenant with them, and the sign of that covenant was the Sabbath, just like circumcision was a sign of the covenant with Abraham. So there's a big distinction between the two that Rusda just did not understand and point out. There's a big difference between the ceasing of God's creation and the ceasing in Exodus 28, where they ceased to do certain things pertaining to their labor, but they also started doing things as well. So again, like I say, they didn't cease like God didn't stop. They didn't stand there motionless for 24 hours, just looking with their eyes rolling around wondering what to do. No, they started doing something for the first time. So the Sabbath in Exodus 20 verse 8 could not possibly have existed back in Genesis 2:3 because first of all, the two Hebrew words are totally different. Nehemiah makes it plain that God wasn't reminding them of the Sabbath. He was making it known to them. And to try to make a connection just shows a total lack of biblical knowledge and knowing the right words that God has used. And another thing I want to remind people of as well. We are a new creature in God. We are a new creation according to 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 17. So while God's creative work ended at Sinai, when Adam and Eve sinned, his redemptive work began. And if you go to 1 John chapter 5 verse 17, you'll see there where Jesus said, "My Father works to this day, and I work as well." My Father works redemptive work. Jesus' work is bringing about that redemption for us. So Rusda2, maybe if you study the Bible a little bit more and really understand the language, you'll find out that you've tried to make a connection that just doesn't exist. He also wanted to say that all of mankind had this, which I couldn't even believe that he even had that up in his video. Everyone who knows at all knows that the covenant at Sinai was only given to the people of Israel. It wasn't given to anyone. No Gentile was ever punished for not keeping the Sabbath. They were held accountable for murder and stealing and whatever, but they were never held accountable for breaking the Sabbath, as the people of Israel were. And in fact, in Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 2-3, it says this: "The Lord our God made a covenant with us in Horeb. The Lord made not this covenant with our fathers, but with us," the Jewish people there that day, the Hebrew people there that day. He said that all who are alive today. So that covenant was clearly only made with the nation of Israel. And the Gentile world was never held accountable for something God only gave to Israel. So once again, I think I've cleared that Sabbath up, that the Sabbath was never given before Sinai, as is mentioned in Sinai. It was a totally different Hebrew word used, and Nehemiah makes it very clear that they were not reminded of the Sabbath, but it was made known to them in Nehemiah 9:14, and in Deuteronomy 5 verse 3, it shows that the covenant was only given to the people of Israel. So Rusda, I advise you to do some more study, and if I can help you in any way with this, please let me know, and I would be glad to do it. Until next time, this has been Golly saying, God bless.